Hey everybody, good afternoon. My name's Iceman. I haven't really done a video like this in quite a while. Used to do it back when I was Fisto Games back in the day. But today we had a pretty significant announcement in the Arma 3 realm. The devs of Arma 3, Bohemia Interactive, announced this new expansion for Arma 3, which I'm pretty sure most of us thought was going to be something to do with Seaburn or chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear type warfare. And really this does delve kind of into that realm if you think about it. And some of the assets behind that type of warfare are added as well. But Bohemia has taken a really interesting direction here, and really at first I was pretty, shocked and a little bit off put by what they had come up with, but it's really starting to grow on me now. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the trailer for the game. I've watched it once already, and I'm going to share it with you here, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what it's about here, and maybe I can help just convey my own perspective on this and give you some of the news behind it. So let's go ahead and watch our initial Contact trailer. Probably help if I turn the audio.
People, talk to me. We good? I don't know, LT. Alright, let's keep it together. None of us were expecting this, I know, I get it. But it's happening. Might as well be the ones making history. Great. No pressure. Sapphire 1-1, Alchemist. Getting a lot of interference here. PCX is breaking up. Could be electromagnetic radiation, over. Copy. Interrogative, do you have a visual? Over. Affirmative, we see you now. Continue on task towards your primary, over. What the hell was that? Alchemist, are you guys seeing this?
That's pretty creepy.
Looks like floating debris, only super localized.
I'll tell you right now, if I was on a patrol in the woods and I saw shit floating in front of over the road like that, that would freak me the hell out. I've been in Europe in the middle of the night walking around with a bunch of dudes, and let me tell you, some pretty creepy stuff happens sometimes, and especially because of the fact that you don't have great visibility. Like, your mind plays tricks on you sometimes, but if you see stuff like that, you know some shit's about to go down.
Roger, hold that position, Sapphire. Do not approach. We'll send the robot in to assess.
Wait out. Yeah, robots first.
I love this thing.
Sir, mini UGVs moving up. Telemetry's getting sluggish, and EMI's kicking up again. There! Is that it?
I'm sorry to pause it during such an epic moment here, but I just want everybody to realize the fact that this tractor is literally like 20 feet off the ground, maybe 30 feet off the ground right now. Like, that's, I just wanted to point that out.
Ease forward to get a fix on it.
So these guys do a great job of presenting this, I think. I'm just going to bring it back to that. end credit scene or end scene there. So this whole concept is something that is, for most of us who've kind of been with Arma since the very beginning, I think it's just kind of a given that initially we're going to be like, what the hell are you doing, Bohemia? Like, why are you trying to introduce all this sci-fi stuff all of a sudden? Like, what's going on? Like, why is this the future of Arma? Like, what are you doing? That was my initial reaction when I first saw this, but it's honestly something that I'm trying to find a way to explain this. Arma's not going anywhere in terms of how the realistic military sandbox aspect of it is not going anywhere. I will tell you right now, Bohemia has an extreme passion for what they do. They are very, very, very passionate about offering realistic military sandbox environments, and they love that kind of stuff. They love the realism behind it. They have an intense interest in military operations and the history behind military operations and the vehicles and the every aspect of it intrigues them, and that's what I love about Bohemia. Bohemia is very passionate about what they do. Arma 3 Contact is a great opportunity for Bohemia to keep Arma 3 fresh and introduce something completely different in order to kind of liven up Arma 3, because Arma 3's lifespan, from my own analysis, is kind of coming towards the latter stages. Not to say it won't be around for a long time and people won't ever stop coming back to it, but Bohemia has already said that eventually they want to come out with another Arma game. That's been in the news, and that's something that is it's great. Arma 3 is an opportunity for Bohemia, or has been an opportunity for Bohemia to kind of be more creative and come up with something different, come up with something that they haven't done before, something that's fresh and allows them to get some experience with developing different types of games, because Bohemia doesn't just make the Arma series. They have many different projects that they work on. Of course, Arma's their prized child that they've brought up since the very beginning, and it's made their company, and it means a lot to Arma devs. But this gives an opportunity for Bohemia to work on something different. So I don't really have any problem with them introducing something like this. And there's kind of a part of this that is pretty cool to me, and that's that they're not, the Bohemia devs are not focusing primarily on this whole alien contact thing, this whole extraterrestrial, the concept that during a military exercise in a Eastern European country, which is very similar to Lithuania, has Lithuania and Poland, I guess, kind of both of them, but has, experienced something extraordinary. There's something completely different going on. There's like all of a sudden, you're in this exercise, and all of a sudden you're getting crazy electromagnetic spectrum feedback, and you're seeing lights in the sky, and people are going missing on patrols, and people are reporting crazy things going on, like the civilian populace is. That's pretty interesting. Like that's taking Arma, or taking military operations to a place out of the comfort zone of these militaries. It's putting these people in a position where they have to, take the fact that they're on an exercise and like figure out what the hell's going on, and how are we gonna survive. And of course the government, gets involved, and it ends up being that, the governments of both NATO countries and of CSTO, or CSAT allied countries, I think that Russia is an ally to CSAT, but I don't think that they're actually a member of CSAT, so I still consider them a CSTO country. But we get countries like Russia who are extremely interested in this. It's something that could be a huge source of both revenue, research material. It could be a power source. We don't know exactly what it is, but that unknown is intriguing to these countries. So we get all these different nations coming together and turning this military exercise into an actual military conflict. And man, you can just see the detail of this world is so beautiful. Look at these trees and look at the environment. It's very detailed. I actually got a chance to preview this map back about a year ago when I was over at the Bohemia studios, and I had thought it was going to be used for something completely different, but this is extremely impressive to me. So we can see here, as I said before, Russia's gotten involved too. So we see an Mi-48 Kazman here. Might be different Russian designation, not sure. But the Russian Spetsnaz are deployed. Perfect opportunity for Spetsnaz activity. Behind enemy lines, out in a NATO-backed country, and trying to instill that reconnaissance role and be able to get the inside scoop on things. Spetsnaz has branches that are more military intelligence based, kind of similar to the way our CIA operates, and this is, I think, the primary purpose of Spetsnaz in this expansion is to gather intelligence and to figure out how they might be able to attain more knowledge on what's going on here, because there's definitely something different going on, something unique, and they want a piece of it. So we see, the Spetsnaz are part of this, but they're kind of this long-range assay. It's not like a full-scale war we're looking at here. It's a military conflict, definitely, but these guys are not, rolling in with main battle tanks and invading this country. They're deployed behind enemy lines in order to offer that sense of support. And this is purely speculation on my part in terms of the story. I'm just kind of looking at it as somebody who's studied Russian activity in Europe and how how they usually do things, and that's kind of what I see this as. And it's a great opportunity for them to have an excuse to do that too. I'm sure that Russia would love to deploy Spetsnaz, into Lithuania, or I forget the name of this country. What is it? Livonia, which is kind of I'm picturing it being a country that's here. Let me bring up the map. So they describe it as being between Kaliningrad and Belarus. Of course, Kaliningrad is a Russian, it's part of Russia. It's kind of its own section of land that's cut off from the rest of Russian allied territory, and it gives Russia its kind of port into the Baltic Sea in the south, and enables them to extend their influence a little bit into Europe. Suwalki Gap here, this is the gap between Belarus, which is a Russian allied country, and in the Armaverse is also a CSAT allied country, and Kaliningrad. This gap here is the border between Lithuania and Poland. I think this is where Livonia is supposed to be, is right in here, and that's pretty cool. Like that's if you ever do any research on NATO and NATO objectives, this is really a big part of security in Europe. Is the concept that Russia and Belarus are so close together at this point, and it could be a huge vulnerability for these Baltic countries. But anyways, going back to Arma. So that's where this takes place, is right in that kind of general area. It's a Baltic country, shares some cultural aspects with Lithuania and shares some with Poland, and I think that they're if we look at the way that these guys are NATO guys. I love this little mini UGV thing. I think that's going to add so many interesting gameplay opportunities. It just makes me extremely excited. And the mop gear that these guys are wearing. Check it out, like full-on mop gear, complete with mop boots, pro masks, gloves, everything. It's really, really cool to see. Then we look at, I don't think these guys are them. So this new camouflage pattern here, this is a woodland camouflage pattern that is going to be added to the vanilla Arma 3 game. It's not just like, hey, only owners of the Contact expansion are going to have this. Like, they're adding this to the default game. I love Bohemia. They are amazing. Like, the fact that they would make this camouflage pattern and some of the civilian assets in the game, like the civilian clothing, is going to be added to the base game as well. Access, to all owners of Arma 3, which is great. Like, Bohemia has so much passion for what they do, and they love their fan base and their community, and that's what makes Bohemia a pillar of the Arma 3 community of the video gaming community overall, versus just another company trying to make money. They genuinely have a passion for what they do, and they genuinely want to offer a cool experience to their members, their customers. So now we look at this is the local forces of the game. So this is the Livonian armed forces, I'm guessing. You can tell that their camouflage pattern is very, very inspired by that of the Polish military. If we look at the Polish military's camouflage pattern, extremely, extremely similar to these guys. It's very, very similar. It's absolutely inspired, and that's really cool. I'm gonna just do a little analysis here. So we see that there's some decontamination gear that's present here. So what I'm guessing is that this whole contact with this unknown entity has spiked a lot of concerns about both the radiological part of it. I'm sure that there's radiation involved, but also we think about this when we consider the concept of traveling, interstellar, traveling to other planets that could be habitable and contain life. That the pathological nature of our travel, like us traveling there, could actually be extremely reckless, and could introduce biological agents that whatever life there might not be able to fight against, because their biology might be fundamentally different from that of human biology, or it's a concept that's interesting, because you think about, well, there's and I'm no expert on this kind of thing, or biologist or scientist in this regard, but it's a very interesting concept to me. And the concept of traveling to another planet is potentially dangerous, both for the astronauts who would be traveling there, or the cosmonauts, I guess, in that case, and also because of the fact that it might be reckless. We might be expanding pathogens to that area that the local life on that planet might not be ready for. So I think that's kind of part of what goes into this. Is there might be a chemical aspect to it, but there might also be a biological aspect. If there's individuals who have had contact with this unknown entity and we don't know what it is, and especially if it comes from outside of our solar system, and it's seems to be some type of intelligent life, we probably want to be concerned about how we're dealing with that. We might end up spreading a pathogen that was carried over, that or some type of entity that could be harmful to humans, or to life on Earth. And I think that's part of the reason why all this decontamination gear is used, and all the the mop gear and stuff. You can see here that these guys are in mop gear from the Livonian side. They're not they're not NATO guys. Well, I mean, they might be a NATO member country. They probably are, but they're not they're not U.S. Army guys. We also see, Bohemia is doing a good job of using some of the assets that the game started with and improving upon them and making them modular. This is the off-road truck. I think it's based off of the Isuzu D-Max from my own research, but it's this is a militarized version. A lot of the countries in Europe, aka Germany, France, they'll use civilian vehicles that are upgraded to like military status, or military, upgraded for military use, and that's kind of a pretty cool thing for militaries to do, because those vehicles are going to be I mean, you can argue both ways, but from my experience in the military vehicles are very, very, let's just say that things go wrong a lot with them. You might have a Humvee that's only got 10,000 miles on it, but you're already having issues that only come with other vehicles in, 100,000 miles down the road. So I just think that using militarized civilian vehicles is a really cool concept. I've always loved that. And I think it's pretty unique, especially in modern day warfare, where we're focused more on the speed and the maneuverability of units rather than their sheer armor, except for actual armor units, of course, like tanks, but at least for light infantry, that's the case. So yeah, very, very cool to see that. We got, a modular cover for the truck bed here, and then there's some whip antennas that are on top. And it looks like some kind of speaker system might be, I'm not exactly sure what that's for, but this might be an MP unit. We don't know. It might be something that it's used for. But regardless, I think it's very cool. So we look here, this screenshot, I think, really, this screenshot really, can I go full screen? I don't think I can with these. But this screenshot really demonstrates the fact that this is a military exercise. This isn't like just huge conflict. Like, these guys are together. They're teaching. We got U.S. guys here teaching the Livonians about what looks like their ISR capabilities. So their information surveillance reconnaissance. Which is like their UAV here, and then they got their remote spotting device and some of their terminals and stuff. That's kind of what that's all about. This is something that I'm very excited about, and that is some of the civilian gear that's being added. Of course, in any military conflict, there's always going to be that civil aspect to things. And these guys, I think, represent some looters. So they look like they got some electronics and stuff that they've probably taken from a store. There's when you evacuate the civilian populace from an area, stuff is left behind. And one of the things that you have to deal with as a military force is the fact that there's going to be people who try and profit off of that. So, it's not just actual, military. It's not just the bad guys who are looting and pillaging. Like, these guys are probably locals. They're just people taking advantage of the situation. But you can see that this guy's got a sawn-off shotgun, a 12 gauge, and then I think this is another 12 gauge here. That's not sawn off. Very, very cool to see civilian weapons added into the game. That's something that from the very start I've wished that we had, and I really like that. Another shot of one of the NATO camps here. Really, really like these tents. You can see that they're enterable on the inside. Really, really nice gear. Another shot of the forest, which you can tell is very detailed. I love it overall. And you can see on this specific soldier here, he's got a backpack that has some radio gear on it. I think that'd be cool if Task Force Radio and Acre maybe took that into account. Maybe more applicable to TFAR, since they already have backpack style radios like that. Another shot of our mini UGV, pretty cool. And then the tractor. So Bohemia is focusing a lot on the civilian aspect of the game. And this is a perfect example of that. This country is big on agriculture, so it would make total sense that they'd have tractors. I think this specific tractor, at least the model, meaning like the actual brand of the tractor, or like the what it's based off of, is the same as in Arma 2. I'm not sure if it's the exact same model. It may be, but it'll definitely be upgraded to Arma 3 standard. And then we get a shot of Livonia from the north. River system running through, beautiful, beautiful terrain. Like I said, I got a chance to glimpse this a while ago, and even when it was work in progress, it was absolutely stunning. And I think it's a very diverse and interesting terrain, and I'm super excited for the possibilities that this offers us. Another shout out to some Livonian vehicles. I think most of their vehicles are based off of the independent faction vehicles from the East Wind campaign. And then our last screenshot is a couple Wildcats flying over. Very, very nice, screenshot. I love the way that the fog is rising up on the map there. So cool. So let's take a look at some of the details of this game. I'm just going to kind of read the content here, and then I'll talk a little bit about it. So what if humanity suddenly encounters extraterrestrial intelligence on Earth? Bohemia Interactive presents Arma 3 Contact, a spin-off expansion about the most important discovery in the history of mankind. As a soldier deployed to Livonia's militarized Nabdor region, you will be the first to study our alien visitors and determine their intentions. However, amid the tension and chaos, armed conflict inevitably unfolds. So this is a big, part of this. So, Bohemia knows that their player base is very interested in military operations and military gameplay. This is no different. This game, or this expansion to Arma 3, is totally focused on military. This isn't like branch off and go completely off-world. Like, this is... Forgive me, I'm talking a lot, so I need to hydrate. This is not something that's completely leaving behind everything that we know. This is something that is going to be grounded in military conflict. So it's still about primarily it's still about the military conflict that arises because of this. And I love that. The whole alien contact thing is a great backdrop to military conflict. It adds a little element of uncertainty. When you're patrolling through the woods, looking to investigate or recon that Spetsnaz position that you saw on your UAV feed, you might be a little bit nervous because you're seeing weird lights around. Like, that's pretty cool. I love that. I think that's so unique, and it's something that is really special. Like I said, I was initially kind of off-put by that, but the more I think about it, the more I warm to it, and I start to realize it's like Bohemia has taken a completely creative and different direction. Like, way to do something completely different. Way to introduce something that completely is, knocks everything off the board, because you've got a very realistic military sandbox game that now has like a uncertain sci-fi aspect to it that kind of like adds that edge to it. It's very interesting. And that side of it, the side talking about the whole sci-fi aspect, it's completely optional. You can, if you want to play this game as a military game, go for it. Like, you don't have, it's not forced on you at all. Like, you want to live this world as a realistic military conflict, and you want to make scenarios that are based on a near future conflict between Russia and NATO, or between CSAT and NATO, or CSTO and NATO. Like, go for it. That, like, more power to you. That's what Arma is all about. Like, that is totally, like, Arma is that. Arma is the ability to be creative and to come up with your own storylines and to own it. Like, that is everything that Arma is about. And so this fits totally well into that. You can play this without even thinking about alien contact if you don't want to. But if you want to explore that interesting, different element and you want to try something new, it's there. And it really gets you thinking, and it's really cool. It's really unique. Anyway, sorry, I'm ranting. I'm really passionate about this stuff, so I tend to go on for a long time. So there's a single player campaign. You play as a NATO drone operator for one of the mini drones. And like I said, it starts off with a military exercise, and this crazy event happens, and then it says right in the trailer, none of us were expecting this. It essentially turns from, hey, we're gonna go on this training rotation to the Baltics, to holy shit, like Russian Spetsnaz are here, aliens are here, like there's all this crazy stuff going on, and now these guys are like went from getting ready for war to being part of a war, and that's a pretty unique concept. Livonia, the terrain, Eastern Europe, like I said, in that Suwalki Gap area. Right around here, and what's really cool about this is that they are adding a huge amount of terrain objects that are going to be available to the Arma 3 modding community. It's not just exclusive to owners of this DLC, or this expansion. The Livonian Defense Force, Russian Spetsnaz. Really not much to be discussed there. New character faces, Polish or Russian radio protocols. That is awesome. So that means that local language of this country is Polish. Of course, the Russians speak Russian, but hell, that gives the Polish Arma community, the ability to make Polish mods with Polish radio. With Polish voices, which is really cool, and then it'll give RHS and CUP the opportunity to upgrade their radio protocols as well. Very cool. Excited for that. 5 new weapons. The Promet assault rifle. I don't know exactly what this one is based off of, but we can see it in a couple. Let me see if I can spot it here. I actually don't know if it's pictured. I think it's pictured in one of the earlier ones. Yeah, here we go. So this is the assault rifle. A lot of these, this might be a modern weapon that's being, used by modern day Polish or Lithuanian forces. I'm not sure. But a lot of these European countries now, as part of NATO, are developing their own weapons, because they're trying to move on from that, the old Russian equipment, the Soviet bloc stuff that's left over. So many of those countries have leftover stuff, but they've gone and developed their own systems in order to be compliant with the standardization agreement, to be able to use the same ammunition that NATO forces use, and that's pretty significant. But I think that this is just a good example of a weapon that was developed probably in this country, possibly in another country, and then imported. It might have been a Polish or Lithuanian weapon. But that's what this is. And then the AK family is getting some additions too. So the RPK-12, which is an LMG, comes with the drum magazine. That's pretty cool. That's something that we haven't seen since the original RPK models. The AKU-12, so a submachine gun variant. Of the, well, not submachine gun, but carbine variant of the AK-12, which is perfect for operations when you're riding around in these things, because from my experience with at least Heinz, they are very cramped on the inside, and it's not easy to have huge, long AKs with suppressors on them. I suppose this guy's carrying an RPK, so maybe my argument is invalid. I think this one has a folding stock on it, though. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty small on the inside of those things. Mark 14 classic hunting rifle. So this is a version of the M14. This is like the original M14 essentially, but without it's like the civilian version of it without the full auto weapon that I really want to get once I get out of the military and I can actually keep weapons at a house. That'd be pretty awesome. And then the Kosley's shotgun, break action 12 gauge, fires slugs and buckshot. That's pretty cool. I love it. 2 new vehicles, that mini UGV that we saw, and then the other one is, and okay, so I better back up. Mini UGV has a swivel arm, can mount a shotgun to it. Pretty cool. The fact that it's got a shotgun added to it, my fellow member of TFTW, Adriano, pointed out to me that that means that you can add any weapon to it, because the way Arma works is you can just add weapon and you can script it in so that it would be able to play the part of another weapon too, which is pretty cool. And I think that that is kind of a cool scale down from the massive firepower that the Stomper UGV has. Lots of new gear. We talked already about the Seaburn gear, and I think they're adding some electromagnetic spectrum like mechanics to the game. So I'm not exactly sure how all that's gonna work. I'm not gonna read too far into it because I don't want to spoil the game for myself. There's some classified intel here. I'll mouse over it quickly. I'm not gonna look at it myself, so you guys choose whether or not you want to. But I kind of want to like keep that edgy stuff in the unknown realm because I think it's kind of cool. Some new multiplayer scenarios. That's pretty sweet. And then this is why I love Bohemia. Like I said, NATO Woodland Camouflage. That's going to be free to everybody. Civilian clothing, free to everybody. 100 plus decorative plus terrain objects, free to everybody. Like, official soundtrack, of course that's free to everybody. That's awesome. I love it. Like, Bohemia, you guys deserve a medal for the way you guys operate. A lot of people were kind of unsure about the way the whole DLC system works with this stuff, but with Standard Arma 3 expansions and DLCs, like, they are hitting the nail on the head perfectly. I love the way they're doing that, and I don't think it should be any different. Anyway, though, that is all for today, and I just want to tell you guys thank you for watching, and I would love to hear, you know, what some of you guys think about how this is going to impact Arma and some of the possibilities for interesting gameplay, not just on the sci-fi side and not just on the milsim side. You know, there's a lot of different interesting things that we could do with this. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wish everybody a wonderful Memorial Weekend. Always remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice for their country, and remember the real reason we celebrate the holiday. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day, whatever day it is of the year, and be safe, and thanks very much for watching.